It's just too damn thin.
Yes. The Earth's core?
You never know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, pizza?
Yeah,
Brooklyn
what are you talking
style?
about? Yeah. Everything's just too damn thin.
Remember those paintings of like in the
Thin
old days?
man paintings?
No. Speaking of thin, where no one would be painted, they would only want to be obese.
Oh, yeah.
Because it showed,
in French, like I eat a lot.
Yeah, I eat a lot, so I have
like,
welt.
Ooh, look at me. Oh, and I'm super pale.
Yeah, you
Spend
have
all
to
my
be,
time
I
indoors
don't.
eating.
Yeah, I don't hang out in the sun. There's even cultures that are that way now. They
Hell is
judge
that
how pale your skin is based off of.
I know what those paintings are called. I think it's like akin to like a
Chunky monkey?
no swagger.
Yeah.
It's called a swagger painting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was difficult. Yeah, swagger.
Yeah, you just came out of that one. It was like whoosh, whoosh. So I've been.
You know what that is? That's the sound of of reptilians beating you into submission on Earth.
Speaking of reptilians,
Stinky reptilians, 9-footers, and they're like hissing with their tongue.
I wonder because they can with all these cameras we have now that's facial recognition, they've got to catch a reptilian.
Why not?
They'd be like, oh, what's this? And then it creates an anomaly.
Yeah, it's coming up in that AI algorithm, and it's.
I wonder if you can. I wonder if we need to. If there's a scientist out there that is in the AI, make sure you stick in the reptilian face.
Yeah, we need a reptilian.
With some multiple versions of them, and then see if it'll pick it out.
Just get some iguanas, a bunch of them.
Yeah,
and like put their face in and be like, scan for these. I want to see how many iguana faces show up.
Yeah, because I mean, if these cameras are millions and millions of faces just constantly, I mean, you would think if you're. Once everything opens back up, which it seems like it's happening, Connecticut, Texas, Florida. I mean, these states keep opening up fully.
Yeah.
Then like New York downtown, when it's just hundreds of thousands of people constantly.
Reptilians.
You would think you would run across one if they are such a thing.
Yeah, someone's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Do you know? Speaking of cameras, the satellites. You got Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I think they only allow like 30 meters. To the surface, for us, we're allowed to see. Think about
30
that.
meters.
We can't go down any closer than 30 meters.
Well,
150 feet.
I've been telling you that I've been studying a lot with Antarctica, and so they've been having this ground penetrating, and then the satellites, and then they have a satellite that can also kind of like look down into the ice. And so
ground penetrating radar.
Thanks to global warming, one good thing about it, is it's allowing things to pop.
The reptilians.
It's allowing things to pop up that normally. So they've been finding like cities and stuff like this, and we know.
Even if
I think Plato was the one that said that.
Guy was on it.
He's the one that said
Atlantis.
Atlantis was.
And they also spoke of the Herbidian island.
Mm-hmm.
Heberon or whatever it was, a place where it was always warm at 70 degrees and oranges grew everywhere amongst the palms.
Yeah, and that was
land of giants.
Yeah, and that area was, and so there's some theories. What we're going to talk about today that island and Atlantis and all that came because of the tectonic plate shifts or whatever you want to call it. Because even on Mount Everest they've found.
Oh, you talking about Everest?
Yeah, well, I mean, even on
I got something to talk about that today.
Yeah, even on Mount Everest, they talk about there being seashell fossils, barnacle fossils, and stuff like that.
Didn't I tell you? So in Norway, I brought this up before. I worked with a lady at a private equity firm, and her father from Norway. There's a news article on him because up on his property in the northernmost part, up by the Arctic Circle, he had a fossilized palm tree.
Wow.
Yeah. I could probably pull the article up.
I remember you telling me something about that a while back ago.
Yeah. But no, I think why are we talking about this stuff?
Well, this is what we're going to talk about today. It's higher density living. We are a podcast of multiple things. We've done conspiracy theories before.
Yeah.
So those are always fun episodes and people like them. The last one we did was one of our most downloaded. And there's not a lot about what I want to talk about. So I looked on Spotify and I looked on YouTube, and there's just not there's a little bit on there, but there's not a lot about what we're going to talk about today. So I thought this would be a fun subject to talk about. I want to kind of stay around the city that we're going to talk about, not so much hollow Earth theory.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Because I think, and we'll have plenty of material on this, and if we can do a hollow Earth theory, if people want, we can do a hollow Earth one later. But
yeah, here we go. 12-foot tall palms, flared trunks, needle leaves. Svalbard, Norway.
Ooh. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
way
mean,
up there.
yeah, but I mean that's what they're saying. Like that whole area was underwater and it was
Oh
tropical.
yeah, look at Svalbard. See it up there, those yellow islands.
Yep, that's right where it's at. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so you got Norway and then keep going
Yeah, I can
across
see
the
it.
ocean. Yeah.
Right up there. It's bright yellow.
Yeah, that's what it is. Fucking palm trees up there.
Think about that.
No, but what do you have to think about that? That means your That means your North Pole, your magnetic north, was in a different area. It had to have shifted like at a halfway point.
Oh yeah.
It didn't invert.
Right.
It didn't like switch sides. This thing was probably in a totally different area. Like I've said before, it would probably have to be around Florida for that to happen.
Yeah, and there was theories that the whole Earth was tropical. You know, at one point, like
I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, like
Would you hate that?
No. 80 degrees, tropical, just having fun.
I'd be walking around butt naked all the time.
I think everyone would.
Oh, we'd be having a great time. We're all eating oranges.
I can't wait to put shorts on here.
Oh, please, yeah. I
know today's supposed to be warm. So
can we talk about something important?
Yeah, we're going to talk about. This is important. We're going to talk about Agartha.
Don't talk about my aunt.
Sometimes it's Agartha,
yeah,
or Agartha with double T's,
or Agartha, yeah, anything like that.
But it's a legendary city that's said to reside in the Earth's core.
Ooh, in the core.
In the core.
Heard it's hot down there.
So we'll get into that. Shambhala, also known as Shambhala or Shangri-La.
Shangri-La, yeah.
Shangri-La is sometimes said to be its capital city.
Mm-hmm.
The mythical paradise of Shambhala is known under many different names. It has been called the Forbidden Land, the Land of White Waters, the Land of Radiant Spirits, the Land of Living Fire, the Land of the Living Gods, and the Land of Wonders.
You know, can we just like hit on something here?
Right.
Where in all the things in the world would someone come up with an idea that there's a capital city in this specific place? How do you even come to that sort of conclusion?
Well, the crazy part about this, this is a conspiracy theory, but the crazy part about this is you have all different types of religions saying the same thing.
Well, I'm not even gonna. I love how you're teeing this up, and I got something for you I haven't told you this morning, so we can talk about it. So it's not a conspiracy theory.
Hindus have known it as Aravathar, Aryavartha, literally the land of or realm of the Aryans, they call it. The land of the noble, worthy ones. The land from which the Vedas come. So
Vedic scripts, and I'll explain this. I'll continue to explain this after.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
Well, let's stop there because I'm going to get into Chinese and Russian and Christian. So let's stop with the Hindus.
Woo. Okay. So we all know that the Bhagavad Gita, you got these deities, and like Krishna, he's got this dark purplish blue skin, almost gray colored. There's some interesting documentation of people that have this color skin, not the one that comes from the disease from having too much silver in the body, where you're like, I'm ingesting so much silver, this is the color of me, it's changed over time. No, there are people born of this actual pigmentation of skin, and they have been recorded. I got to make sure I get this place right because I looked it up. It's called Shigatse. And Shigatse is a place that they call the gateway to Everest. And apparently there, within the Hindu Kush, the Himalayas, I love saying Hindu Kush, there's been many recordings of people actually going there and documenting, observing these group of people. And they typically wear headdresses and stuff to cover their skin and everything because they're so blue. You'd stick out like a sore thumb. And amongst a group of people that are, rural Chinese, rural Tibet, you'd be like, this doesn't look right. So if there was a book written some time ago from a gentleman who was trying to record the historical steps of this guy named Emmanuel, which we know as Jesus.
Right.
He had his lost years. And during those lost years, he found his way actually over into the Hindu Kush, into this area. He hung with Brahmins. He hung with Buddhists, right? And when he was over there, he also ran into these blue people. And there are many other explorers that have been to this region and said, oh yeah, there were people of blue skin and you should check it out. But the reason I'm talking about this is because what we would consider as a conspiracy theory, I think is interesting that one of the tallest points on Earth, Everest, is also a gateway city to going underneath the Earth. So, and if I think about this geologically, if I have plates that are coming together, smashing and pushing up, well, what happens when you're pushing things up? It's got to have some gap of space underneath, even if it's slipping, Even if I have plate slipping that's happening, something's driving it up, so you have to create a void. So I would hamper a guess that these people of Agartha that live underneath the Earth, these godlike evolved people, whatever they might be, that have been written about in the Vedas, which you find in the Bhagavad Gita and stuff like that. It's all about these blue deities. But they all were in their own little clan, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
And none of them were positively oriented. They had this weird sort of attitude of like aggression and war, but you don't see them very often, right? And they kind of leave and go, but this place of Shigatse, which is apparently the epicenter or capital city, infiltration point into the Earth's core for this group, there's a lot of recorded people, historical fact recordings of people actually being blue there. And I think that is actually quite interesting. So it's not so much as a conspiracy theory, but there is a fact that there are people who are blue that are recorded in that area. The question is, where do they reside? You meet them in passing. You have a record of it. You don't talk with them. They don't talk with you.
Right.
But where the hell do they go at the end of the day? I ask this questions about seagulls all the time. You know seagulls on a beach?
Yeah.
I'm like, where do seagulls sleep? I ask myself this all the time. I see thousands of them during the day, when I used to be on the East Coast. But I'm like, where are they going to bed? I can never find them.
There's a conspiracy theory on birds, too.
No, I know, but I know being robots, but I just, this is like just one of those things. It's like you see them, but then where do they go?
Maybe they go up to our fake moon.
That'd be cool. Don't give me about a hollow moon, please.
That was placed there.
So I think we can take an obvious step.
Right.
That there's recorded historical fact documentation about these blue people.
Right.
But what we don't know is where they reside. But it is said that these people, in relation to it from a deity standpoint or a evolved group, live underneath the Earth in this place called Agartha.
But I mean, we talked about this in the last episode a little bit. But when we look at alien hibernation, you have to look at
hybridization.
Hybridization, yeah.
Hibernation.
Hibernation, yeah. They're hibernating, like big.
Yeah.
But when you look at elongated skulls, where a lot
Nubian skulls.
Yeah, where a lot of tribes. I mean, they found them everywhere. They found them here in the United States. They literally found them in every continent. But a lot of people do that. They do that as a baby, and then they put the boards on their head and slant them. Different tribes are doing that. But you could see a huge difference between ones that were naturally done that way and then ones that were formed. And so we see these. It's like these, and then when you look at the Egyptians, they have the elongated.
Yeah, Nubian skulls.
Yeah, so for me, whenever I see something like that, and then those type of people were considered, and they had them as late as the 1800s in France, and
you can
royalty.
see those paintings, oil on wood paintings.
Yeah, and they still see people that have naturally, but and so that was kind of a royal descendants.
I saw a guy the other day with an elongated skull, and I was like, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, can you hear my thoughts? And I'm just funny. Staring at him. You know what I mean? You know what's interesting though? All these people with the elongated skulls, bald.
Yeah.
Bald.
Yeah.
This guy, bald. I mean, if you got an elongated skull, people are going to.
That's a lot of hair follicles. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's why they wear they have special coverings and stuff like that. But so now you have the Hindus, and then you have the Chinese. Saying this too, the Hisaitine, I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Nice.
The Western Paradise of Hisai Wangmu, the Royal Mother of the West. Then you have the Russian Old Believers. You have 19th century Christian sects that believe in this. You have Belovdiv and Kirkuk's people from Janadar. But throughout Asia, it's best known by its Sanskrit name, Shambhala, meaning the place of peace of tranquility.
I want to go to Shambhala.
Yeah, so
that was also in the. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Because I'm trying to bring up how much cultural context it's been in. It was in that Marvel movie, Doctor
Strangelove.
Not Strange.
Doctor
Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. Yeah.
No, it was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He went to Shambhala to train.
I remember that. Yeah.
Not underneath the earth, but whatever.
Don't give me that. Gets me upset if you talk about that movie.
Why?
The new one coming out.
There's a new one coming out?
Yeah, Chinese own it, and so they took the Tibet monk out.
Get out of here.
Yeah, read about it.
So they funded it and wouldn't allow the Tibet monk to be in?
They won't allow. They had to change the character.
Lame. That's so lame.
Compared to the comics.
I like that guy, the one who runs the library.
Yeah.
He's the one with all the humor.
Yeah, so they took the Tibet monk.
The one who likes Beyonce. That's so lame. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, this influence. This is what countries can do.
People think the United States is racist. Go to China.
Hey, I want to talk about this. This is really fast.
Oh, gosh.
This is going to be really, really quick.
Shouldn't have said anything.
I know, yeah. There's racism everywhere.
Yes, there is.
Everywhere.
It's not just white people, black people.
I was talking to an Asian person the other day, and the Asian person was telling me, like, Chinese don't like Koreans, Koreans don't like Japanese, Japanese don't like, they think the Islander people are less than them, Vietnam, or Cambodia. But I'm not picking on Asian culture, but I'm like, in Russia, they have different, like Ukrainians think they're better than Russians.
Saudi Arabia, you should
Moldavians are like the worst, and the Russians think that the Moldavians are, this whole system of racism
Arabia
is not just in America.
Do you know how racist they are in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, yeah.
Not only they don't like women driving, but two, if you're a Pakistani, dude, you should hear some of the words that they have to describe Pakistani people.
Oh, I was in the Marine Corps, and that just having different, not only are they racist, but then it's also what sect are you from?
That's, yeah. So it's
Sunni,
a religious
Shiite?
thing.
Yeah.
It's a race thing.
Yeah.
It's also,
it's all
you're
mixed
closer to the level of like a dog. Like, it's terrible.
So the color of your skin or your sexual preference has no relative in you being human. You're a human.
I have a sexual preference towards lizard people.
And they got to be taller than you.
They have to be 9-footers.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's just my little Jason Rigby. This is not a direct reflection on the views of higher density living.
No, that was just a Rigby rant.
That is a Rigby rant, yeah. So entrances to this beautiful underground city. This is really, really cool. So there are several entrances to the kingdom of Agartha throughout the world. Some are planetary grid points, which we know about that.
Navels of the earth,
indwells and outwells of energy. So there's like doors with energy that you can walk through.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kentucky Mammoth Cave in South Central Kentucky, U.S.
Have you been there?
Yes.
got to tell you, one state, there's a couple of states in the Northwest haven't gone to, and Kentucky, never been to it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
I know that's on the East Coast.
The horses and all that. They're really big.
Cave.
Dude, if you want to see something beautiful, go to some of these like super elite, rich horse
stables.
Oh, dude,
I'm all about.
There's
that.
like chandeliers in the stables.
Not that I would have such an egregious.
The horses live better than us.
Oh, I know they do.
Yeah. So you have Brazil. There's several places in Brazil. Manaus. And then Morona, Santiago in Ecuador. This was discovered by one Moraes. He discovered this Morona, Santiago. And then Mato Grosso in Brazil, city of Posed. Aguaza Falls, border of Brazil and Argentina. So there's a falls that you can go into. Mount Epomeo in Italy. And then the Himalayan mountains. Tibet. There's the city of Shronsy. And that's guarded by Hindu monks. Even now, you can't go there.
You can't go in there.
No.
If you look at this place, that's the gateway to Everest.
Yeah.
The monks are overlooking the whole city.
Yeah, they have.
But it's built on the side of a mountain.
I was seeing pictures of some of these entrances. Churches have, like the Catholic Church has a couple of them in South America, and they have big manholes that are like gold with big locks on them, and they have guards there.
I've never seen this. What's in the manhole?
It's the entrance, one of the entrances. If you go through all these entrances. And then you have Mongolia, the underground city of Xinhua, allegedly exists beneath the border of Mongolia and China.
Oh, they do actually have these manholes.
Yeah.
They're okay. I just fact checking.
Yeah.
They look insane. They're huge and gold. Okay, so
with locks on them.
Yeah, with locks on them.
And then, so Rama, India, beneath the surface city is a long lost subterranean city. They say also named Rama. Whenever you look at, and I want people to understand this, it's not just, it's not just an entrance and then you go down. These caves are tunnels. Elon Musk has Boring Company. These tunnels connect. They intersect with each other. They even go under. They can connect continents together and stuff like that under the ocean. They can go for hundreds and thousands of miles.
The ocean's only so deep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why
exactly.
couldn't I go into the crust underneath the ocean?
Yeah, exactly,
There's no
yeah.
reason I couldn't.
Yeah, and then you can create like a vacuum if you do that. So you could actually go into a cavern in the and we haven't even discovered
I used
what
to,
1% of the ocean.
yeah.
What did I say?
No, you brought something up. I had a physics professor once, real brilliant dude, and he always had this idea. You remember that movie Journey to the Center of the Earth? He said, "Don't drill directly into it." He said, "Go at an angle."
Oh, yeah.
And he said, if you create like almost this very obtuse shape, like really wide angled V, if you want to visualize like that, he said you wouldn't have to use, once you'd go down, you'd have a change in gravity and you'd never have to use any energy to move across the earth. So if you had a bunch of these V's, you kind of dip into the center and then have it launch you depending on the angle.
Right.
It's a really brilliant idea.
Well, I mean, one step further with that, as you're going down, you're getting more
Momentum.
Yeah, well, you're getting more momentum as you're going down, but you're also going closer to the center of the earth. So, the magnetic pull is going to be amazing.
Well, the gravity's going to change. It's
And
going
then-
to bring you
so-
down just and then launch you past.
Yeah, and then so we would just have to change the polarity on the ship either way. So if
yeah.
we're going this way in the V,
Almost like change your magnets on.
yeah, and then when we're coming out once we change that polarity with our even now with our
It's like a rail gun.
yeah, then it would pull us in, and then it would shoot us out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much energy there. I mean, it can.
It was always a great idea. I'd love to.
Yeah,
even
no, I
try
love
it.
that idea.
Yeah.
We need to.
We need
Elon
a lot
Musk,
of
if
money.
you're
We need
listening
a lot
to
of
this,
money
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of drilling.
We'd love to.
Where do you put the rock?
I'd say we build Donald Trump's wall for him.
Yeah. Well, I've heard there was a conspiracy theory that the drilling operations that the United States has, their machines actually, the walls of which they drill become,
Yeah, I've heard this too. Yeah,
glass-like.
Yes.
Because their problem was, they had the same question. What do we do with the rock?
Right.
Well, they said, why don't we just melt it into a new glass-like tube?
Yeah.
Why don't we just fill every space, inconsistency, everything?
You think it'd be so thick because I mean you're taking something so solid and then just nuclear like they have this machine though online. We've talked about this before.
We have talked about this before.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is another one. Of course.
Wait,
it's an
underneath
entrance.
it?
Yeah, underneath it. Yeah, which we haven't even explored that.
They talked about that in the Billy Meyer contact material. There was a group that hung out deep underneath the sand.
Right.
Very negatively oriented group. They talked about this, and they were kicked out of the earth, but other good extraterrestrials came in and got these guys out of here in the early 70s. So you can't hang out here anymore.
I love that. So we had the Great Pyramid of Giza. We had King Solomon's Mines, North and South Poles, and then Mount Shasta, California, which is really interesting.
That's really interesting.
Type in the city of Telos, Telos.
Hold on, that Mount Shasta is interesting. Let me.
There's an Agarthian city there.
See, now we're onto something. I had read something once about these blue skin people, and they called themselves the Sons of the Sun. SONS.
I like that.
Of the SUN.
Right.
But someone had said that they had a photograph of one of their ships going into Mount Shasta. And then from there, that's how they get into the subterranean earth. That's where they live. That's really interesting. So do you think their cities are separated or they're connected? Because Mount Shasta to the Hindu Kush, that's quite a distance.
Yeah.
If you're drilling underground, you have to drill at a curve too. Well, I guess not. You could,
but I mean, Rod talked about that in the Law of One, how they could just move things with their thought.
Yeah,
and they built the pyramids. Took them 10 minutes?
Yeah, which they said
so,
that people woke up and saw it.
The people woke up and saw it. Yeah, so whenever you see these tunnels, that wouldn't be a big issue. They just a collective group get together and say we want the tunnels to go here, 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 and then the matter moves.
Tunnels ain't shit.
By the way, shout out to your cup, bro.
Oh yeah,
LL Research.
I got an LL Research cup, all as one. I want to thank you guys for actually making that for us. Really, really appreciate it. I don't know. Sons of the Sun. I can't find it. Agartha. What's the buzz here?
Did it say the city of Telos? Did it show that in Mount Shasta? Telos.
Yeah, it's city of Telos, Mount Shasta. Oh yeah, it comes right up. Telos Lemurian City of Light. Underground city in Mount Shasta.
Yeah, it's beneath the mountains in Shasta.
Oh yeah, I got to go to Mount Shasta. I'm gonna hike.
I know. I've gone there several times and hiked, but I've never gone to. That's a mountain lion place there, boy.
Yeah, I need to hike this shit out of that thing.
So,
Hopefully these Sons of the Sun can come over and we can have a little discussion about their underground cavity they've been living in.
So according to The Secrets, Shambhala the Lesser, one of the colonies, which is also the seat of government for the network, while Shambhala the Lesser is an inner continent, its satellite colonies are smaller, enclosed ecosystems located just beneath the Earth's crust.
Okay, so they are separate.
Are just discreetly within the mountains.
Okay,
yes.
so all these different places, they do have their own little zones that they
Yeah,
hang
so
out in.
here's an old school map. Can you see that?
What a badass map.
You can look on, type in Agartha.
No, I'm going to hold
map.
your phone the whole time.
You can hold my phone.
I can hold your phone. The land of advanced races, Agartha. Why are we so unadvanced?
Well, that's why they supposedly get pissed off at us, these other beings, because we're so. I mean, when nuclear technology they were interested, so they made a lot of contact with us. But
Yeah, and they're
other than
probably
that,
like, can you cut it out?
They really don't like us.
They're
Yeah.
probably advanced, and they probably have pretty good weapons. But you guys, can you stop with that? You're upsetting our energetic structure underground.
Yeah, and so the Atlantean-Lemurian War.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Atlantean-Lemurian War is what drove them with their thermonuclear weaponry. So
Thermonuclear.
yeah, they had thermonuclear weaponry where they just blasted everybody with.
So it's a giant fireball.
Yeah, supposedly in one of my past lives, I was part of this thermonuclear thing.
GTFO. What are you talking about? Wait a minute.
This was brought up in my.
Did Kaylin bring this up?
Yeah.
When you did that episode on HDL
Yeah,
with him?
yeah.
Wait,
I was a part of that. I was like a leader in that.
Do you know
on the Atlantean side?
This is really interesting. You're gonna like this.
And he brought up the thermonuclear, so that was interesting.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I had read another conspiracy theory. I love conspiracy theories. That the area of the Salt Flat, what's the
In
Death
Utah?
Valley?
Yeah.
We can't let that name go because that's a place where there was a massive thermonuclear war by the earlier races on this earth. That is why it is lower than sea level in that area because they essentially nuked it flat.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
There were big cities over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's what they think that sank and destroyed these highly advanced civilizations. The Sahara, the Gobi, the Australian outback, and the deserts of the U.S. are all but a few examples of the devastation that resulted, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
The subsidies were created as refuges for the people and as safe havens for sacred records, teachings, and technologies, because they were far advanced. So there's a guy, this is really interesting. There was the French occultist I was telling you about that was considered to be a saint.
Yeah, his name's Alexander St. Ives.
He wrote a book on Kabbalism and the Jewish people, and then this guy pops out of the blue from. They think he said he was from India or whatever in his name, but and I'll quote him here in a second. But they think he was from Afghanistan. He teaches him this whole new language, and then begins to teach him about Agartha. And one of the things he says, and it's in this book, it's recorded in this book in the late early 1900s.
I want this book.
He says that their technology is. This will be interesting. He says, and it would be interesting to look up the exact quote, but he says the technology is wires where light and fiber is run through them, like fiber optic.
So it's fiber optics.
Yeah,
so in the 1800s, these guys see fiber optics.
The description's like straight out of like. I mean, it's not elusive at all.
I'd literally shit myself. Mm-hmm. Imagine the 1800s, someone shows you a wire and lights running through it. You'd be like, you get that Luciferian devil work out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh, right here. Contact with Agartha. During 1885, St. Ives was supposedly visited by a group of Eastern initiates. One of them being named Prince Harjij Sharif. It was then associated with synarchy with ascended masters. So what is synarchy? So Alexander St. Ives, the Marquis of Alvidre, or whatever, I don't know what it is, he developed the term synarchy, the association of everyone with everyone else. What's this say?
All is one.
Yeah, okay, good. So he had his little word for it, synarchy. And he turned it into a political philosophy later, and then it became into a political/occult philosophy. Anyway, let's go back to the contact with Agartha. It talks about the associated synarchy with ascended masters based in the caverns of Agartha, who supposedly communicated with him telepathically.
Yeah.
He wrote about this secret mission. Here we go. This is the book. He wrote about this secret location in his Mission de Linde on Europe.
Yeah, it's French. Yeah, but it's they have the American title.
Yeah, he was worried he had revealed too much, and apparently under the influences of his Oriental contacts, he destroyed all but 2 copies of the book. One which was owned by Gerald Ancus. His alias was Papoose.
Yeah, he was a
Edited
French cultist
and
too.
published it in 1910.
Mm-hmm. But he took stuff out of it. And then he got rid of the originals. So the one that was published in 1910 doesn't have everything in it.
And here's the crazy part. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
When that book was written and he left 2 copies, and then this other dude, Gerard Ancaus, published it in 1910, that was later adapted and adopted by the Thule Society.
Mm-hmm.
Who is in the Thule Society? Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. No.
That's where he got a majority of his ideas.
Yeah. So he was, Adolf Hitler was huge in the occult. But it's all esoteric is real big into this. Well, but there's another guy, and I don't know if they talk about him. There's a Polish, I think he was a Polish scientist that went to the Hindu Kush.
Oh, yeah. I love
He went there, and this is in this time frame. So imagine going there in this time frame.
Yeah.
And he writes a book, and they accuse him of plagiarizing.
Who accused him?
This French guy, because the book is the same as the French one.
Oh, interesting. So 2 independent people
from
have their
2
own
different, and he wrote
2
the
different
book
places.
in
one Polish guy, one French guy.
The Polish guy wrote the book there in the mountains.
Wow.
And so he has pictures of him. This is really crazy. He has pictures of him with all these like spiritual leaders over there, and they there's these twins. And they have blue eyes, and they're really tall, and like there's a picture, like you can actually see it online.
The hell are you talking about?
We'll get to him here in a second. These guys look alien as can be.
Really?
Yeah. So
you know St. Ives, the body wash?
Yeah.
Does it have anything to do with this guy?
Are the 40s I used to drink? St. Ives?
yeah, St. Ives, yeah. Oh, that's low of you. That's really low.
I picture sitting in a car with your brother drinking St. Ives.
Oh, he probably would be drinking St. Ives.
So let's get into the inhabitants. So they're called the Old Ones. And there was several books written about Atlantis. Brad Steiger wrote a really famous one.
I feel like Atlantis is separate though from this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just
because Plato wrote about Atlantis,
right?
He never said one thing about blue people.
Yeah, but because of the thermonuclear, everybody went down into the ground supposedly, and they took their libraries and their technology.
Well, if you nuke the upper atmosphere, you got to go somewhere, right?
Their technology is crazy, bro. They have these serpentine robots.
What do they do? What did they do? I don't know what.
Their robots have telepathy.
Sort of weird occult shit you've been getting into.
So the Old Ones are hominid, extremely long-lived, and predate Homo sapiens by more than 1 million years. The Old Ones generally remain aloof from the surface peoples, but from time to time they have been known to offer constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, and they there's like this, I don't know if it's a myth or whatever, but that they've actually kidnapped children.
Okay.
So because of course if they're Orion, they go against free peoples for will, and then tutor them and train them to study to understand this.
That's really
so. That's what they think. This guy that gave that French guy all the information.
Could you imagine someone coming out? They're like, whatever, it's tall, blue skinned.
Yeah, pops out of the ground,
and he's like, "Can I just offer you some constructive criticism?"
Yeah, here's some candy, little girl.
Yeah. First of all, I get to take all these kids, and then on top of that, stop doing this. Okay, see you later.
Yeah, so there's the elder race. One of the most controversial tales of the inner earth dwellers is the so-called Shaver mystery.
Shaver
mystery in 1945. This is really interesting.
Who's the Shaver mystery?
Amazing Stories. There was an editor named Ray Palmer that had a magazine called Amazing Stories.
Oh, Amazing Stories. Richard Sharp Shaver.
Yeah.
Did he write about this in the magazine?
Claimed that he had been a guest of these underground civilization.
Oh, the most sensational true story ever. That's what they've coined it as. Keep going. This is fantastic.
He contended that the elder race or Titans came to this planet from another solar system in our prehistoric past. After a time of living on the surface, they realized our sun was causing them to age prematurely, so they escaped underground, building huge subterranean complexes in which to live. Eventually, they decided to seek a new home on a new planet, evacuating the Earth and leaving behind their underground cities populated by artificial beings. The evil Diro. They're detrimental robots, and the good tarot integrated robots. It was these beings that Shaver claimed to have met, the robots actually themselves, which would make sense. I mean, if you have a collective consciousness and you want to have physical beings, then I mean we'll go to that level where I can download my conscious into. There's a show called Altered Carbon.
Oh, great show. You
Yeah,
get
and
the
then
discs.
they have sleeves.
Yeah, and you get a new sleeve, but you put the disc in it.
Yeah, and it just is uploading your consciousness.
You talked about that secret language. Well, Shaver also had one called Mantong, which was this proto-human language that was actually being used.
Yeah, and the Buddhist ancient philosophy states that Agartha was first colonized thousands of years ago when a holy man led a tribe to the underground. Buddhist theory suggests that there be a race of supermen and superwomen who occasionally come to service to oversee the development of the human race. So this is Buddhist philosophy. It is also believed that this subterranean world has millions of inhabitants in many cities. The king of this world is believed to have given order to the Dalai Lama of Tibet, who is his terrestrial representative. Yeah, it's his terrestrial representative.
They're both hanging out in the same place. That Hindu Kush has some stuff going on.
Yeah, and there's secret tunnels there that only the Dalai Lama know. And then so Native Americans, where we're at here, the Navajo legend teaches that the forerunners of man came from beneath the earth. The ancient ones had supernatural powers but were driven from their caverns by a great flood. Once on the surface, they passed on their great knowledge to the human race before once again seeking their great sanctuary. The Pueblo Indians also places their god's place of origin in the inner earth. The inner world was supposedly connected to surface people by a hole in the north. The ancient writings of the Chinese, Egyptians, and Eskimos speak of a great opening in the north.
Okay, so what we understand here is that everybody everywhere talks about some sort of hole or entrance to get into a place underneath the earth. So if I have all these cultures that had no communication, no jets to get to one another, not sending any carrier pigeon over the ocean, they all are sharing these stories independently in their own culture about, inner earth. I find that awfully intriguing.
Yeah, and whenever you look at all these famous people that had written about it, believed in it, I mean, very, very prominent people. You had the Admiral, I think his name was Admiral Byrd or whatever. Yeah. He got lost. I think he was in the Antarctic, but he had a hole that he found and that he had opened up and talked about. So, whether there's people under, here's my opinion on this.
Yeah, here we go.
Whether there's people down there, even whether there's aliens or not, I don't know. I'm not going to say yes.
Does it really matter?
You can't make a definite answer to that.
Unless I shook their hands, took a photo.
Yeah, exactly.
They gave me a piece of their flesh to go bring into a
microscope. I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, it's dumb to think that if there's millions and millions of galaxies, and then millions and millions of galaxies and that fractals of galaxies, then there wouldn't be, besides us. That seems narcissistic.
That's illogical.
But whenever I see something like this, are there caverns underneath the earth? There is proof. I mean, the pyramids alone, there is proof that there was ancient technology that's superior than ours.
Yeah. There's multiple places of, disparate civilizations that have done things that we still can't understand.
So to imagine, and there's huge tunnels and caverns that we can't even go to the depth of them.
No, and we have ground penetrating radar that show that they're there. Just as a point of reference, here in New Mexico, if you want to experience this thing directly, you can walk through lava tubes.
Mm-hmm.
We have lava tubes so big you can literally walk through them. So, to think that there's other voids underneath the earth seems extremely probable.
Yeah, so and that there's tunnels that go for hundreds of miles. Yeah.
Listen, and if I can find, and then I think about it in this sense, if there are fish that live deep, deep, deep down in the Earth's oceans and they receive no sunlight ever, why can't another organism also live like that? Maybe you don't need the sunlight. Maybe your nutrients, your Vit D, comes from your water.
Well, yeah, if it's a conscious collective and there's robots.
Yeah, so whatever, they can live underground. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not.
None of these things seem improbable,
right?
And it's just okay, well then maybe someone can find it. But we do have documentation of blue people. We do have documentation of these holes. We do have ground penetrating radar. We have some sort of obsession.
We have religions blocking holes and making them like sacred sites.
Yeah. So
we have people going to the poles and not allowing anybody else, but the rich elite are going there all the time.
Constantly.
So what's going on?
Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
go ahead.
No, I'm just in consideration of all of this, when you begin to talk about it, it doesn't seem all that unlikely. But even if there was something living underground, so what? They're hanging out. Let them hang. Unless they're thermonuclear and us, hitting us with those,
Yeah.
which they haven't done,
No.
I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some of their technology, but then we'd use it for bad.
That's the problem. We're not conscious. We don't have the
Whether-
amount of conscious
whether it-
development for it.
Because, whether it's subterranean people, whether it's interdimensional aliens, whether it's aliens from faraway galaxies,
Yeah.
and they're far superior to us, with technology, it doesn't matter. We're still going to take it from whatever of those three we get
Yeah.
and use it to destroy each other.
Yeah, and that's what we do. And listen.
Love, light, love.
Yeah, what is there to be fearful of, honestly?
So I want to ask you this because I want to close this out. You're the CEO of Tartle. They're our sponsor, Tartle.co.
Mm-hmm.
So a higher density living, a person that's listening to our podcast has a desire to understand knowledge. They have a desire to understand truth. They have a desire to look at the world in a different way than people with blinders on. Not that's a negative thing. It's just some people choose to live in the here and now, and the next life they'll move on. For people that are students of knowledge,
Yep.
Why is Tartle so important to? Because those are the people we're really speaking to.
Yeah.
Why is Tartle so important to them?
Those people that actively search all day long. And I'm not talking about searching on Google. Ones that search within themselves, that want to understand their thoughts and their association and efforts with others. If ones that have listened to the show and understand the concepts of collective consciousness.
Right.
When you look at something like Tartle, it's the collective consciousness of all of us. It's a record of our history, our thoughts, and it's in data.
Yes.
And so sharing that, we know that through the sharing, you can elevate this teach, learn, teach. Through the sharing, you are more conceptually aligned with the law of one. You begin to understand yourself and others better, and you can help elevate this world because it's not just all about you.
Right.
And through the combination of your efforts using this system, you can be benefited financially for doing so, but also help many other people that need access to this information so they can solve some of these pressing problems we have facing humanity.
I love that. And our other sponsor, Quality Mazda, if you live in Colorado, Texas,
Or New Mexico, they ship.
Yes, they ship. And if you're looking at a vehicle, I encourage you to look. I know a lot of people have crossovers. The CX-5 is rated number 1. Mazda's brand for 2021 was rated number 1 by Consumer Reports.
Yeah.
Out of all the brands.
And Mazda is after some sort of, celestial
God
too.
Female God,
so if you want something cool to...
feminine,
Yeah, if you need that feminine energy in your life.
So if you're looking at a vehicle and you want something that's quality, pricing is great, and you want to have a smoothless transaction, then we encourage you to go to Quality Mazda. I was thinking about this, though.
Quality Mazda.
So I'm gonna pitch it to Quality Mazda.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to take a road trip for here in New Mexico to some of these alien sites,
with
whether
the
it's
Mazda.
Roswell or whatever,
Yeah,
and then we
park
can
it there.
film there, and then we'll park it there, and then do like a little commercial for them or whatever.
I think that'd be so cool.
This would be like a higher density living, and then have the Mazda there, and then talk about where we're at.
We got to get
maybe
it
even bring the
wrapped.
podcast equipment or something.
Yeah, let's get it wrapped.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All
I
right.
think that would be cool.
We're
But
trailing
we're
off.
out. All is one.